All right, welcome back. I'm Nick. I'm a designer here at Hume Architecture. We did a sauna design and project. It was a design build project we did a couple years ago for a couple. That project was super successful, turned out really awesome. So we had a lot of natural elements. It was more of like a Nordic designed bathroom. A really nice custom sauna was a big piece of that. And it really didn't speak like a bathroom. It was more of a retreat space, if you will, kind of like a spa. Now, when we did that bathroom design, there was a couple French doors that we designed off of that bathroom with the anticipation that in the future, this would extend to the outdoors, or at least tie in a lot of the natural side of their backyard into this. So today I'm gonna jump into that second phase of the project. I did the design for the landscape and the outdoor hardscapes that tie into that sauna project. So today we're going to look into that. We're going to start with some of the basic sketches all the way to a little bit neater sketches, kind of work through the design flow. At least for me, it's different and it's subjective for every designer on how they work through these things. I'm very visual and iteration based. So today we're going to jump into that. So right here we got classic trace paper. This is how I kind of started. To guide you through it, we just have that sauna space. This line here is the exterior wall. This is all the rest of the house. So we have the extension French doors right here. So we're talking about this inside corner of the backyard. Now there's some important elements that we wanted to tie in to this sauna space. The sauna has a lot of natural materials, cedar, it has stone tile. It's got some darker black washed tile on the wall and floor. So we knew we wanted to incorporate kind of the blend of these materials throughout the outside here. When we're sketching these rough sketches, start to think about the material palette. We've got some pavers, some possible cedar decking or some sort of decking material to tie into the cedar of the sauna space. We've got natural river rock. Maybe some elements like water are incorporated in here. You can see I'm noting some elements in this early sketch that are important. We've got a fire pit that was denoted by the clients. That was important to them to kind of have an area outside of this where they can have a fire pit. There's an existing apple tree that creates the bounds of this. An outdoor shower was a very valid point an outdoor shower was a very good thing to add to something like this. You imagine you're doing the sauna. Instead of showering off in the bathroom, you can shower outside, enjoy the nature, kind of bleed these spaces together. So as we work through some iterations, we start to change the organic shape, think about how these materials play with each other here. We've got a few different things going on. Really, one of the complex parts of this was the inside corner of the house. That inside corner is kind of a dead zone. There isn't a whole lot of function you can add in that inside corner that really utilizes daylight or feels disconnected from the house enough. It feels kind of cramped in that space. So we're going through some of these iterations, really trying to figure out what kind of flow we wanted from that space. Another important aspect was there's a French door off the living room space here. So we've got two main entrances to this area, off that bathroom and off the living room. So the experience is from both sides, really. So there needs to be some sort of circulation connection there. You can see I'm thinking about sight lines off the sauna. There's a window in that sauna space, and also the French door. What does the view look like? It was important that the hardscapes in the landscape don't intrude too much on the view out of the bathroom. Having that full patio light in the French doors there, you get a really good view of the backyard, and we really didn't want to minimize that with the hardscapes, like putting too much furniture or anything out here. And you can see I've kind of picked between that apple tree and some of the landscaping that's come in here where that natural view of the rest of the backyard would be. So these are really just rough sketches just to get some ideas out there quickly. So then after that, we move into more neat sketches here. So these are kind of the exciting ones you get to show the client, where they really start to incorporate some of those elements and start to render out some of the nice colors and material palette. You can see in this iteration, I've detailed out the sauna space as is. So we designed that a couple years ago. You can see we've got 2 elements of tile, a river rock tile and more of a washed large format tile. And there's organic lines cut in this tile, both in the sauna and the shower area. And then we've got cedar in the sauna, along with cedar benching. And the vanity is also a series of cedar with a cedar bench. So that was really important to tie that on the outside. So we've got, in this iteration, we've got cedar decking that is organically cut around this cluster of rocks. This was a really cool feature that I was getting really excited about, to be honest, just because it takes a typical hardscape, a deck that's very typically cut in square orthogonal patterns or geometric patterns, and taking it a step above and organically cutting it around something. This proved to be a challenge throughout the whole project, but we can show some images of the completed work, and it actually turned out really nice. This option, we've got a series of pavers with river rock that kind of sprinkle in between, just to give it more of a light organic feel and not so permanent. And then again, we have a deck over here, as those 2 French doors have a 2-step landing zone for each one of those. And again, we've got a fire pit with a cedar bench around that. And now we're starting to incorporate plantings in here. So you can see this dead corner I was talking about really ultimately landed on that being an ideal area for some plantings. And then we work to another sketch here. So this starts to incorporate even a second type of paver. So the bathroom, I noted that there were river rock tile and this large format tile. I thought it would be really nice to find pavers that work well with those. So that way we've got these 3 main elements, so these 2 tiles and the cedar. So the outside, we're really starting to play with that, with the deck being the cedar. We've got a paver that matches that large format tile as the main circulation area. And now we've got a secondary lighter paver on the outside. And then we've got the infill of stone on the garden and planting areas. And now I'm really starting to think about the materials here, calling out the fire pit, being more built-in natural stone pavers here. We've got cedar decking, an outdoor shower. This outdoor shower ended up being an extension of the shower wall on the inside. So when you walk out this French door, it really feels kind of the same. It feels the extension of the bathroom. And you can see I've got river rock in the bottom of that. So I'm thinking about water flow. If you're using the shower, it's important to think about, the logistics of things functioning when you go to design stuff like this. So this space, really was morphing into a bunch of different ideas, and we worked back and forth with the clients to meet something that, really hit the nail on the head when they're thinking about the experience of the sauna to this outdoor spa area. So then, after going through those sketches, started developing more of a digital version. So I like to work on the iPad when I have existing drawings. So this is the existing floor plan. Again, we did this bathroom remodel for them. So we had access to a full Revit model of the floor plan of their house. So it was easy to kind of upload this into Procreate, the app I use on iPad. And then we're thinking about landscape a little bit more seriously here, starting to call out plantings. I worked with a landscape company that had a lot of experience with that, just to leverage the design back and forth between them. We kind of traded. I gave them my initial thoughts. They had some recommendations. We worked back and forth and ultimately bleeded 2 of our plans together. So you can see we've got things like pavers and decking specified exactly now. So you can see the ultimate design we landed on coming off of this bathroom. We've got the French door to the decking. And you can see we've got that cluster of rocks that's organically cut on both corners. This was a way to kind of soften the edges of this decking and make it feel more organic. Because decking boards, obviously you can't curve, you can't make them organic themselves. So this was the way we decided to go about that. And then also that shower area. This ended up being a wall that's built with that cedar material as well. And these rocks, we ended up bringing in these 12,000 pound rocks into this project and putting them near this deck. And what they ended up doing is actually causing more of a privacy screen here, which worked out really nice for the shower area. So you have kind of a waist height rock right here by the shower area. And I think that worked out super nice. And then we've got the river rock pavers in here. These tie in a few elements of the property. So we've got circulation from these decks that connect. It kind of shows you the pathway between these. And then it also curves around this rock. Back in this corner was another one of those spots that was kind of a dead spot. So ultimately what ended up going back here is we have a hose bib back here, kind of more of the garden utility purposes go back here. We also ended up designing later on a bench in here to dry stack firewood, just because it's out of sight and it's an element that can be tied into this, while at the same time leaving easy access for firewood for the fire pit. And then you can see we're tying in those large format pavers into this fire pit area, and ultimately those signify the area that you're not circulating through but more or less lounging in. And that fire pit ends up poking out the furthest away from the house, which is really nice because the experience is in the backyard but still tied materially to the sauna space. Again, this dead space in here, we ended up doing river rock and plantings, which was a really nice way to kind of keep it all tied together, but at the same time make this corner usable in the design. And then we had landscaping kind of wrap the building, and the front of the house also got sort of the same treatment, just so this corner really didn't feel just alienated and separated. We really wanted to tie it to the rest of the house. So this was a little bit of the process getting there, getting from concept to material selection. And ultimately the reality of hardscape designs like this is when we go to build those projects, there's a lot of changes that happen on site. There's some things in plan that you just can't account for, specifically elevations and soil conditions and how you want to grade things off, and plantings may be scaled differently than you thought. But ultimately it's nice to have this baseline to really go off of and get a good jumping point. And you can see this project is kind of a sneak preview, but we have a phase 3 coming to this project, hopefully in the next couple of years. So we were trying to design this whole property all at once and break it into phases, but this was the main focus for now. And I had the pleasure of building this project this past summer. Went really well. We could share some photos of that. I think it's a really nice space, and the clients are sending me photos all the time, how much they love it and how much they're using it. Using the sauna, taking showers outside, enjoying the sunset, having morning coffee there. So it was a really fun project all in all. It's a really nice to be able to step back and kind of do sketching and iPad drawing and do the more traditional design route than having to produce everything digitally through pretty extensive design software like Revit, where this project really didn't need Revit to any extent, just because landscapes are often better just drawn out. Yeah, so that's a little bit about my process and how I get here. I'm very visual, iteration based. I have to sit down, do many iterations. What I've showed you today is probably 15% of what I have. The other stuff is, ends up being scrapped or kind of morphed into something else, or just leads to one idea that produces a better drawing in the end. So yeah, thanks for watching.